Inside the X is a short newsletter every Friday designed to give you some fun right before the weekend. It'll include links to blog posts, articles, books, quotes, and recent purchases I've made. Everything is handpicked to add value to your life. To join, email entertainmentxpodcast@gmail.com.
Good morning, Vietnam!
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
To infinity and beyond!
Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
It's classified.
You talking to me?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
I can't lie!
Expecto Patronum!
Entertainment X.
You never know what you're gonna get.
For this episode, I chat with Candice Cain on the phone. She's the creator of New Dog's Old Tricks, which you can watch on Amazon Prime. Candice has an indomitable will that is inspiring, and I ask her a lot of questions about it and how she keeps going and what her motivation is for everything she's working on. She has some really wonderful answers. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and keep on keeping on. We're back with another episode of Entertainment X, and today with me is Candice Cain on the phone. Candice, thank you for joining me.
Hello. You are so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, of course, please. The pleasure is all mine. We actually grew up in the same location, Long Island, New York.
Long Island, yep. That's right.
Where did you grow up in Long Island?
Brookhaven, Hamlet, all the way out east.
Oh, no way. I grew up in East Islip.
Oh my gosh, my husband's a cop there.
No way. Oh, it's a small
that's
world.
jurisdiction. It sure is.
So I want to jump right into this conversation. We're going to talk about a lot of the stuff you've created. In your childhood, what did your mother teach you about work ethic?
My mother is work ethic epitomized. My dad skipped when I was like 8 years old. So my mom was a single mom raising two daughters. I was 8 and my sister was 5, or I was 7 and my sister was 4. And she had a house that, without my dad. And she was an art teacher. And back then, teachers did not make very much money. So my mom, she did a lot of extracurricular activities. And she also made sure that me and my sister were always happy and active and never wanted for anything. So my mom, I model my life after my mother.
Wow. Okay. Did anyone in your family work in the entertainment industry, or did you kind of branch out on your own?
Actually, it's funny. Now, I haven't talked to my dad in like 15 or 16 years, but my father is a movie director. His parents were clowns. His grandparents, my great-grandmother was a Ziegfeld Follies girl in vaudeville. And on my mother's side, my mom did sets for like theaters and what have you. When my dad was here, did all sorts of sets with my dad or for my dad's productions. She's my production designer. But her father is a banker, so
Okay.
it's my mother's very artistic. She's an amazing artist. She works in all sorts of mediums. But my dad is the one that was in entertainment.
When did your passion begin for writing?
I actually wrote my first script when I was 9 years old or 8 years old. I was in 3rd grade in Mrs. Polonsky's class at Brookhaven Elementary School. I was in enrichment, and it was called A Journey to Chocolate Land.
Ooh.
And we actually did it. Yeah. We did it as a play when I was in school. And it was a lot of fun.
Was there a defining moment in your childhood where you were like, oh, this is what I'm going to do for a living?
No, there wasn't even a defining moment in my adulthood.
How did you?
It just, I just kind of fell into it.
Right.
It's bizarre. I went to George Washington University, and before I even got to college, I was on the stage. I did a bunch of different theatrical productions. Right now I'm 42 years old, and I haven't acted since 2005 when I got married, and that was my 36th live stage production that I had ever done. So I'd done quite a bit. I modeled, I sang, I danced, I did everything. And when I got to college, I was on the stage, and then I just started writing more and more. But I went to college. I went in for political science. I went poli-sci, then poly-com, then I just kept changing everything, and I ended up graduating the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences with a degree in dramatic literature and minors in English theater and creative writing.
Wow. So what made you decide to graduate with that? Like, why were you switching so many degree fields?
I had enough because I had enough credits.
Oh.
No, yeah, that's why I had the minors, honestly, because I had so many credits. And it was like, in college, I went in and I didn't want to go in undeclared, and I had really been interested in politics. And, I remember being in the junior Miss pageant or whatever pageant I was in, and you were supposed to dress up like what you wanted to be. And I remember dressing up like a politician, and I said I wanted to be like,
That's great. No, it's great.
So I went in with that, and I actually I interned for Congressman Sanford Bishop, Democrat, 2nd District, Georgia, he was just reelected, actually. And I interned for him for a semester. And then, I don't know, I don't remember why things changed, but things started changing. It was the Clinton administration, and I didn't like the way things were going. I didn't like playing politics. I liked the concept, but I didn't like how things were actually going down. So being on Capitol Hill opened my eyes to how things were done, and it wasn't okay with me. So I decided, rather than being a politician, I'm going to be one of the people that actually makes the changes, and let me be a lobbyist instead. So that's why I went into political communications. And then I decided, you know what, I just want to be in front of people. So I eventually went to English, and then I was like, I could never be a teacher because I don't like children. And
yeah, the honesty.
And then I started doing all these things, and I went to the Kennedy Center, which is it's such an amazing theater down there, and
yeah,
I got addicted. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. And when you go, you could even just go, even when it was closed. Well, back then, even when it was closed, you could go up to the terrace. And I just used to go up on the terrace, and I really thought I was going to be a dramaturg there. And, that's why I got my degree in dramatic literature.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, things just kept happening. My mom, after my aunt was killed in a car crash in 2000, I was in Alaska, believe it or not, opening up a theater up there. I had come home to, just be with my family. And my mom said, you know what, Candice, you really need to follow your dreams. And I made arrangements, and I went out to L.A. To become an actress. And, it's one thing after another. That's just, I don't know. I don't know what else to say without boring you.
No, you're not. This is actually just opening up more questions. Why is storytelling important to you?
I think that people need to laugh. People really need to be on the outside looking in, and people need to find humor in situations, Yeah. And no matter what genre of story I'm telling, I end up having a funny character or making a joke to break the mood, because I think that there's too much tension. Even when I first started, it was like, I just want to make people laugh. People need to escape. I think there's too much of people playing on their phones now and playing on their tablets and hiding behind a computer screen and not interacting with people, where I want to present characters, especially with New Dogs, Old Tricks, where they can look at the characters and be like, oh my gosh, that reminds me of my friend Taryn. That reminds me of my friend John. That reminds me of, whatever. Like and it kind of makes you want to connect with people, and it gives people something to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really important these days.
I think it's something that's always important, because if you think about it, if you go back to storytelling, one of my favorite shows is The Music Man.
Oh, yes.
And my father actually played, who the heck did he play? He played,
Harold
oh my
Hill?
God, I can't remember. Harold Hill, Professor Harold Hill.
Yeah.
When he was 19, and I got to play Alma Hicks when I was 20. And you're talking, it's the same story, and different generations get to sit and watch and enjoy. And that's why I'm so thrilled that I'm published also. I have 4 scripts that are released by Samuel French. And I just love when I get a notification that one of my productions is being performed somewhere, because it becomes a part of your culture. It becomes a part of your history. It becomes a part of your own story.
Yeah. Yeah, because everyone has that story of a show or a musical or a movie or a TV show that opened them up to themselves, or, taught them to love themselves more, anything really. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Now,
I mean,
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, your turn. I was going to change the topic, so please keep going.
No, I was just going to say, like, I was talking to my mother the other day about the Muppet Show, and I don't know if you're too young to remember the Muppet Show. But,
you're kind. I love it.
But the Muppet Show used to be on, I think it was on Thursday nights at like 7:30 or Friday or something like that. And I remember as a little girl, like at 6, I remember going to my grandparents' house and taking a bath and washing my hair and coming down with a towel and giving the towel to my grandfather and having my grandfather towel dry my hair while we watched the Muppet Show. And I remember in college when everybody, like, there was just this group of us that built our schedules around, between 12:30 and 2:15, we could not go to class because at 1 o'clock we had to be in Adams Hall watching Days of Our Lives. So it becomes ingrained as oh, remember when we used to do that? So, and that's what I love about this.
Do you have further to go with your creations? Are you where you want to be? Is there much more you want to create?
I think that satisfaction leads to complacency.
Yeah, truth.
So I don't want to say I'm never satisfied. I'm satisfied with individual projects, but I always want to do more. I always think about, okay, what's going to come up next? Yeah, I'll take a breather. And sometimes God forces me to take a breather, like when I shattered my ankle, 2 years ago, and I was sidelined for like 3 months.
Ooh.
But,
Yeah.
yeah. So, am I ever satisfied? Yes, I'm satisfied. Am I satisfied with where I am? Yes, I'm satisfied. Do I want more? Yes, I think satisfied is even though I'm satisfied, I'm not content. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I do want more, because I want to build an empire for my daughter to take over.
Okay.
Yeah. And there are so many other stories that I have inside of me, that I have in notebooks on my desk that I can get out, that, I just need the time and the money.
What is your self-talk then in keeping yourself content without feeling, like anxiety of thinking about the future and like, I want to create more. Like, do you have a self-talk?
There's things that I feel anxious about. I don't know if anxious is the right word. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this.
Okay.
With, something that I teach to my kids, something that I teach to the kids that I mentor, that I have with my casting company, is sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So what? What's next? And
I like
even
that.
though even though somebody doesn't like you, the next guy will, or maybe the guy after that will, or maybe that woman will. There's always somebody out there. And I think Lady Gaga actually said this when she was talking about what she did with A Star is Born, where she said it doesn't matter. You could be in a room of 100 people, and I'm paraphrasing this, but you could be in a room of 100 people, and 99 of them don't believe in you. It doesn't matter because that one person does. And as long as you have that one person, you're good to go. And if I don't find one person in that room, I'm just walking into another room.
Where does that come from for you? How do you stay positive like that?
I don't know.
I love that. No, I love that, though.
I've never looked at it as staying positive, but I mean, if I can't keep myself going, why am I going to rely on somebody else to keep me going?
If I can't keep myself going, why would I rely on someone else to keep me going? That's really good. Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Oh, wow. No, that's just great. Sorry. I was just like, that's a wow moment for me. So then logistically, when you have these ideas and you're working on these projects and you're creating things, do you have a balance between talking to people about them and keeping them to yourself? Because I know it's like ideas are worth nothing, action's worth everything. And it's like, protecting your ideas, but not even feeling the need to protect your ideas. I'm curious, do you have any thoughts on that?
See, I think my problem is everybody knows that I always have ideas and everybody's calling me. And as soon as they see, no, I'm serious. I'm so serious. I'm so serious. Like, I posted something on Facebook about Little Cupid, which is a new project that I'm working on. And I get like 4 texts. Hey, is this project you're talking about? Was this one you were thinking of? Was this one you were thinking of? It's like, no, it's actually a new one. So they're like, but the people that are closest to me are a guy named Cody Calafiore and another guy named Brian Tyler Cohen, and they're my readers. I send them literally everything that I write, and they tell me if it's good or if it's bad or if it needs something or whatever. But then I'll pull in teams, So on Little Cupid, for example, I've got Anne-Marie Ranieri, Nicole Mullaney, Julianne Michelle, and Amy Minter. We're all working together to try to get this thing funded because I want to bring it to Miami with me next month. So, it depends on the project. And, yeah, I've got projects. I've got stuff that I've written that people don't know about because I'm not ready to share it. But, I have notebooks literally all over my house.
Yeah.
And any room I'm in, if I have an idea, I'll just reach over and grab a notebook and just write down the idea, and then I'll flush it out. But my mom didn't even know about Little Cupid, and I was making plans with Anne-Marie and Nicole and whatever, and she comes in, she's like, Candice, Therese, do you even have a script written for this yet? And I'm like, yeah, Ma, it's like 40 pages. 40 pages? When did you write that? I was like, I wrote it in the car on the way home from Florida. So, she hasn't read it yet. So, my mom and I are extremely close.
Yeah.
But, it's funny because I don't know. I'm not afraid of people stealing my ideas because I think people are more afraid of me and what would happen if they stole my ideas.
Come on. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm serious. I'm a big girl. I'm 5'10". I will kick a person's butt. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm really not concerned about that. Plus, in my brain, like, things might sound so obscure and convoluted, like when I say what they are, people just can't follow my idea. I was on the phone with Cody the other day trying to tell him about Little Cupid, and I'm talking to him, and then I started laughing, and I'm like, you want me to just send you the script? He's like, yeah, just do that. So, my train of thought is actually a roller coaster, so it's kind of hard for some people to follow.
Okay. So when you're writing, do you sit down and find a quiet place? Is it like voice memos?
Oh, God, no. No, I'm old school, honey. I do I do notebooks and pens and paper and everything else. You know, like I am very, very old school with that.
When does it go? Do you type it up ever, or is it always like handwritten for you? Or?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, I type it up. I mean, sometimes my brain will be going so fast that I'll sit down and type it up. I did that with a couple of scripts that I've written lately. But what I like to do is I like to write it in my notebook so that I can edit as I go from notebook to computer.
Ah, okay. Okay. So then with New Dog, Old Tricks.
Yeah.
How long has that idea been inside of you to creation? Like, what was the timeline without making you share, like, too much?
No,
But I'm interested.
We did the movie, What Happened Last Night, because it's a spin-off of this movie.
Right.
The movie was sold at the Cannes Film Festival in the Marché du Film in May of 2016. And when I got home from France 2 weeks later, Cody called me. And he's like, Candy, I have an idea. You know, everybody else wanted me to do a sequel, and I didn't want to do one. And
Why?
I always tell everybody, because I was done. It was wrapped up in a nice little bow, and it was done.
Okay.
You know, it was in my head. Danny and Sarah, you know, started dating, and that was the end of the story.
Right.
And everything was wrapped up in a neat little bow. Mindy and Joe ended up together. Sarah and Alan and Liz ended up together, and everybody was happy. You know, so when Cody came to me and he pitched an idea to me, and I said, why? And he gave me a really good justification that I think it would be really fun to see these characters go on spring break together. I was like, oh. And then I went to a producer, and I talked to him. I was going to write something called Senior Week, you know, which was a sequel, kind of like, you know, the American Pie franchise.
Sure, yeah.
I was going to do something like that, and then it ended up where he was like, no, this really needs to be a series because there's nothing out there for millennials. And I was like, all right, maybe I could do that. And then that night I ended up writing 3 episodes. So, you know,
Yeah.
I write really fast also. So the idea, so that was June, and then we filmed the pilot in September of 2016, and then I shattered my ankle, and then we started filming again the following February 2017, and, you know, so, I mean, it wasn't that long after What Happened Last Night had been released.
Yeah. How did your relationship with Amazon come about?
Amazon has something called the. I just pitched to them. It's they have this platform for independent filmmakers, and if you can prepare it and you can submit it. You got to get the subtitles. You got to get there's a lot of restrictions and a lot of requirements that you have to meet. And I met everything, and they were like, yeah, all right, cool. And then so it's on Prime Video.
Wow, that's so cool.
It was just following their rules, but the rules are very difficult to follow. Like, you can't run around your backyard with a video camera and put it on, like, YouTube, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got to be legitimate.
Yeah, they've got some, like, really stern requirements that you have to follow, which I did, and we were accepted, and now we have a platform for season 2, which I'm thrilled about.
That's so, congratulations.
Thank you. And we also got global distribution through H. Gagnon Distribution in Montreal. They picked up, when I went to MIPCOM in October, they picked up What Happened Last Night as well as New Dog's Old Tricks.
What's MIPCOM?
MIPCOM it's a conference held in Cannes in France.
Okay.
Where buyers and content producers meet, and there's like conferences and workshops and meetings and what have you, and you pitch your stuff and people purchase it if they like it.
Wow. Okay, so how have you gotten better at asking for things?
I haven't. It's the worst. I'm terrible. I really am.
Have you learned anything about it, or anything you want to speak on with it, or nah?
No, I'm just,
Okay.
I mean, when I'm a director and there's something I want to get out of somebody, I ask them. It's not even that I ask them. I tell them what to do. I'm not very good at asking for things. I don't know why. I don't really ask for help very much either. Like I'm working on Little Cupid right now, and the worst part is going and the second season of New Dogs Old Tricks. The worst part is asking for funding. Is going to investors or running. I have a crowdfunding campaign going on for it, and I don't know. It's really, really hard to ask for help and to ask for funding, and you almost feel non-deserving. You know what I mean? It's just tough. And I know I have to do a great job because I've done a great job. And we've got, right now I think we have 24 submissions for the Daytime Emmys, for crying out loud, with New Dogs Old Tricks. So I don't know why I have an issue. But I post on Facebook all the time because I can hide behind a computer screen,
Hello.
But it's hard. It's just really hard.
Yeah, I understand that. What do you want to see more of on television or like films and what have you?
Did you say who or what?
What?
I'd love to see more independent companies or independent producers or, independent projects get more of a chance, of being seen, because there's a lot of terrific content out there. Independent films, it's so difficult because if you don't have a huge amount of money behind you, you don't get discovered, and it's really, really hard. And I'm not crying about it because I know it's hard, and that's why I chose this industry. But it would just be so nice if there were true independents that are out there. And not to criticize, but there are certain companies that have, like, major companies, like Universal, Sony, Warner Brothers, whatever, and then they're like, oh, we have the independent arm. No, it's not an independent arm. It's still part of the studio, and you're putting your backing behind that film.
Yeah.
It's really not fair. You can't call it an independent. Why? Because it's a new writer. And I'd also love to see some more female directors and female writers out there.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
Yeah. No, I agree with this, and I wonder what is the reason, like what defines independent from not independent. You know what I mean? Like if you were an employee of Sony, would you no longer be independent?
Well, I'm an independent. Like my Gemelli Films is an independent company, okay? And my film, What Happened Last Night, was picked up by Sony. Sony did not fund What Happened Last Night. I got the funding myself. I pounded the pavement. I did everything myself.
Right.
To get the funding for that, okay? That, in my opinion, that's what an independent is. You worry about getting your own funding. You do literally everything, and then somebody comes in and picks it up and distributes it.
Ah.
I would love to be employed by Sony. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I mean, I swear to God, if Sony called me at those, was like, hey, Candy, we've got $5 million, or we have $250,000 for you to make days like this. I'd be like, sold. Okay, and that's fine.
Right.
But, and I would do that in a heartbeat. But with independence, I enjoy being an independent because I keep my control. I get to cast who I want to cast. I get to do the stories that I want to do.
Yeah, you're not selling it off.
Right.
I notice in Canada, they're very open to independent producers.
Yeah, they are. That's what I've heard too.
Yeah.
And Malta is another one. And, but a lot of them are co-productions. And again, with co-productions, you have to come in bringing something to the table, such as money. Even though I've got connections with cast, even though I've got 42 scripts and 5 television series that I've personally written, they're still like, well, how much money can you bring to the table?
Oh,
and it's just very, very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, question for you. With the casting company you created, why did you create a casting company?
Because my son wanted to be on television. When I was trying to get pregnant, with my husband, I had 5 miscarriages, 6 failed inseminations, and I got pregnant with twins, and I had been acting, and my husband said, Candice, can you please stop, and focus on this and being healthy. I was very sick when I was pregnant, so I stopped acting. And I said, well, maybe when they're 5, I'll be able to do it. So, we're watching TV one day, and I was on Malcolm in the Middle. I was Big Wanda on Malcolm in the Middle. And it happened to come on television. I wasn't paying attention, and my son sees me on TV, and he looks at the screen, and he looks at me, and he looks at the screen, and he looks at me, and he goes, hey, Mommy, why can't I be on television? And I said, okay, you could be on television. Nobody can tell you that you can't do anything. So I submitted him for a role, and he landed it. My son's gorgeous. Both my kids are gorgeous, I will say. But my son, he ended up doing this modeling job, and then I submitted him for something else, and then he got that, and then I submitted him for something else, and he got that. And then a friend of mine said, well, can you try to get my kids on? So I tried, and all of a sudden her kids got on for the stuff that I submitted them for.
Cool.
And then people started asking me, so that's how it grew.
Wow. That's so great. You're just like making your own paths. You're not waiting. I love it.
But why should you wait? You never know when your life's going to end.
That's so
my
true.
aunt was 39 years old and had, 4 kids, 6, 9, 12, and 14, and she was killed in a car accident. And another girlfriend of mine just died of cancer. She was 51. Another friend of mine, 2 years ago, she was 40. She died of cancer. You don't know when your time's up.
Yeah.
So why are you going to sit around and wait for somebody else to tell you what you can and can't do?
Yeah, it sounds idiotic at this point to take that course. To wait.
Yeah. I don't need anybody's permission, and if I'm a very spiritual person, I'm Catholic, and honestly, if God doesn't want me to do something, there's going to be a block that I can't get past.
Yeah.
Isn't
that true?
And that's just going to divert my path. And you just got to keep following your own path. And, people say all the time, a lot of my actors will be like, oh, I want to be the next Tyler Perry. Oh, I want to be the next Julia Roberts. I want to be the next Emily Blunt. Well, I want to be the first Candice Cain,
Yeah.
Don't worry about being the next somebody else. Be the first one of you. And the way that you get there is by doing what you believe in and not letting anybody get in your way.
Exactly. And yet so many just sit and wait.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad we're capturing this. I'm glad this is being recorded. Okay, so then let me just grab this next question here. Okay. In life, what's most important to you?
My family.
Yeah. Do you have Sorry.
No, there's nothing else in my life is more important to me than my children, my husband, my mother, my family, just my family, and everything that I do is for them.
Yeah. Do you see each other a lot, like your mother?
Oh yeah. My mom lives with me.
Oh, wonderful. Why I ask is because I had read an article a while back, and short story, it was saying that after you move out to college, the amount of time you see your parents, after that time is like an 1/8 or a 16th of all the time before that.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I have a very unique relationship with my mother. Even when I was in Washington in college, my mom came down to college every single holiday, or I'd go home for it. When I was out in L.A., my mom came to L.A. When I was in Tennessee, she came to Tennessee. When I was in Alaska, she came to Alaska. My mom was always the cool mom. Like, all my friends wanted to come and hang at the house because that's, they liked my mom too.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those people who talks to her mother every single day. I see my mom every single day. You know, my kids have a very special relationship with her. She's their only grandparent that they know, or, you know, my husband's parents have passed away. So, and, you know, I haven't talked to my dad in 16 years.
Yeah. Was that a conscious shift for you in the mind, creating that like friendship with your mother, or that's always been there?
That's always been there.
Okay. Okay.
100%. That's always been there.
Yeah, because I noticed, like, even with myself after college, I was like, oh, it's a different relationship as you get older, you know, because it's always my parents, but it's more like friends, you know. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Nah, you must not be Italian.
So funny you say that, because I am.
Are you really?
Avellino. My middle name's Avellino.
So funny.
Oh,
So,
anyway.
no, but I was just kidding. But
No,
my mom. Yeah, I just have a really, really close relationship with my mom. You know, she's always my mom. Even my grandmother, you know, who passed away in 2014. I'm the oldest of all the grandchildren. There are 9 grandchildren. My sister and I, and then, you know, 7 cousins. With my grandmother, whenever we went away, I would always invite my grandmother to come with us, you know, and just always had that relationship with my mom and my grandma, my grandfather. We're very, very close family.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Mistakes. Are there any mistakes you've made that have proved essential in learning, or one that stands out?
Well, no. I mean, I've made plenty of mistakes. I mean, I remember being in Cannes with Dave Eggers, and he wasn't feeling well. Everybody else had gone to the Hands of Stone premiere, and I decided to stay back with Dave, so he wasn't by himself, and because my feet were killing me. So we sat down and we went through every single mistake that we made with producing What Happened Last Night, and every obstacle that we had hit, and there were literally 101. And no mistake really stands out for me, because I think if you look back on a mistake and you didn't learn from it, then you're going to make that same mistake again. You know, you make every mistake's a learning experience. Every mistake is a learning experience. It's so true. Were there standout things you learned when you guys talked through all of that? Say that again now? Were there standout things that you learned from producing that film when you guys sat down and like went over all the mistakes and what have you? Oh, yeah. I mean, the biggest thing was that I needed to be more in control, and I tended to take a back seat to the director of photography, and I didn't assert myself enough, and that's something that'll never happen again. That was my biggest thing, was that, you know, David said to me, Candy, you're in charge. Be an effing charge, you know. Right. You know, it's your project, and nobody else is going to care about it as much as you do. So stop placating other people and get your stuff done. I mean, he used a few more colorful words than that, but you know. But yeah, that was, just looking back on it, that was it for sure. Okay. All right. So do you have any most gifted books or books that you love to read or that you've recommended? I tell people that are in this industry to read The Secret. And I've actually purchased The Secret for a few people. I know I purchased one for Alex Permis, who plays my star, or my lead character, Sarah. The Secret is a big one. Okay. Yeah, it's a good book. I also like The Power, which is, you know, it's a trilogy. I can't remember what the other one was called because I didn't really care for that one. Okay. I love how honest you are. Oh, well, thank you. Yes. Okay, so wrapping up here. I really appreciate you doing this over the phone with me. Hey, no problem. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. I tore a tendon in my foot, so. Oh, no, as long as you get better, get well soon. Thank you. So my usual last question is, metaphorically speaking, if you could put a word or a phrase on a billboard, does anything come to mind? faith.
Faith.
And it's not just about like faith in God or faith in the universe or faith in whatever. You gotta have faith in yourself. You gotta have faith in what you're doing. You have to have faith in the decisions that you make. And I just, so many of my actors have said to me, you know, they have faith in me. And it's a really, really important aspect of life, I guess, is having faith in something. Whether you have faith that the door stopper is going to work, or if you have faith, you know, in whatever it is, just have that faith that it's going to happen. That's something, that this thing is going to happen, that whatever it is going to come through for you. And it will. You just have to have faith.
Agreed. And thank you for talking to me about all of this. You really let me into your life, and I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Okay, where can we find you?
I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere. On Instagram, and on Twitter, I'm Candice T. Cain, Candice T for Therese, Cain, Cain. NDOT sitcom on Twitter and Instagram. And Little Cupid, could I talk about the GoFundMe that I've got right now?
Okay.
It's GoFundMe.com/LittleCupid.
Perfect.
And, you know, you just look for me and I'm there.
This is great. Candice, this has been a joy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Candice Cain.
You've been listening to Entertainment X, the podcast. You can follow Entertainment X on Instagram at _EntertainmentX_. If you haven't yet, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join Clay next week for another curiosity conversation on Entertainment X. Thank you for listening.